Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to this panel titled The New Generation, Women in Tech. It is truly a pleasure and an honor to be sitting here among such accomplished and inspiring women. And I think we've heard a lot from the previous panel about skills and all this stuff, but now it's time to hear the youth perspective and the new generation's perspective. My name is Christos Charalambous. I am the founder and director of Altair Astronomy, but I am also part of the youth. I am a first-year aerospace engineering student in the US. And again, thank you for being here with us today. Now, without further ado, I will introduce the ladies one by one. I'm going to need my notepad because they've all accomplished an unbelievable amount of things. So starting from Kira, she is a STEM student in Cyprus, the robotics team captain of the FTC team 22 to 22, and a mathematics Olympiad participant for Cyprus. She represented Cyprus at the first Tech Challenge World Championship, winning the third place Sustain Award. Additionally, she's a member of this year's EGMO national team, and alongside her work in robotics and competitive mathematics, she has participated in the MIT MISTI, M-I-S-T-M-I program, the STEM and robotics workshops, and AI camp in Cyprus. Her academic interests include AI, robotics, and mathematical modeling. Round of applause for Kira. Thank you. Heading to Mara, she was born and raised in Limassol. She's now a final year master's student in mechanical and aerospace engineering at the University of Cambridge. Her work ranges from structural engineering, health tech, aerospace, and taking products from concept to working prototypes. And outside engineering, she has chaired the Cambridge University Astronomical Society and directed logistics for the Cambridge Women in Business Society. And last but not least, Alyssa. She is an AI scientist and mathematician from Paphos, Cyprus. She holds a master's in data science from Harvard and MIT and graduated valedictorian in mathematics with honors from the University of Manchester. She has received an Outstanding Academic Achievement Award and a Mathematics Excellence Award presented by Nancy Rothwell. She has served as the She has served as a teaching fellow at Harvard. She has published at leading machine learning and AI conferences and works at the forefront of AI and machine learning. She is an Exness scholar. And she is one of the first engineers working on MIT's initiative to build the world's first Internet of AI agents. So, let us begin with the first question. This is directed to all of you. So, as we've heard before, and as I think this is something that has been echoed throughout the conference here this day, we're living in an ever-changing world, and now with the shift in AI, technology and AI in general are evolving at a very rapid pace, and you're all building or have built or are working in your journeys in the STEM fields in general. So does this era feel exciting, overwhelming, competitive, maybe motivating? And if so, maybe a mix of them all. I would love to hear the perspective from you. So Kira, why don't you start us off?
So for me, it's a moment to grow because AI gives opportunities for you to grow yourself in your city, wherever you live. So because I started robotics only last year and I had no experience, so for me, first year was just, I was looking how it worked, and AI helped me a lot because it's an instrument where you can grow knowledge and you can start from the points. And this year, by using AI in the last year, I used to a lot of resources that helped me. So AI helped me to grow in robotics because I didn't have a teacher exactly in programming in my task. And yeah, that's how I used it.
So for me, AI research in general is used as a tool to prop up my aerospace background. And it's a very interesting field because it can open doors into research that we wouldn't have had access to. So yes, I'm definitely motivated by the opportunities here, and especially in the field of aerospace modeling, we see there's a huge growth opportunity that I'm really eager to be a part of. In terms of it being maybe a little bit uncertain on that side, I think it's also as Kira has mentioned, a huge opportunity for growth and something that I also have to work on implementing further. Because I also started off my degree without that much influence from AI, and also studying mechanical and aerospace is not something that's really brought into your curriculum. So that's definitely something that I've had to spearhead myself, and I'm interested to see how that journey will change.
Yeah, on my side, there's definitely excitement. You're building in the domain. There's a sense of urgency and responsibility. So when you're at the frontier and you're shaping a lot of this technology, which is defining not the next just one generation, but the next tens of generations, you have to think ahead, very, very far ahead, into what you want the world to look like down the line. And this is something you're always told as a child, like, oh, what do you want to be? What do you want the world to look like? Now, when you have these systems in your hands, when you have the capability to mold them and shape them, it's something that gets accelerated so much that you're seeing years and years ahead in a few seconds. So there's definitely a lot of excitement, a lot of potential, and we've only seen a tiny bit of it until now.
Definitely, I think this is some really helpful insight and a really good perspective from the youth as well. Now, heading on to the next question, STEM fields are still in many ways spaces where women are underrepresented. How is it being a woman in a STEM field shaped your experience, and do you feel that the environment is changing or even has changed during your path so far?
I think the environment in STEM changed a lot because I was participating in Girls Mathematics Olympiad, and it's a big opportunity for girls in math because in International Math Olympiad, which is the most important Olympiad, there are always boys in a team, and even this year it's all full boy team from Cyprus. So I think by creating these events only for girls or for girls and boys, it helped girls to understand that they're not behind and they're important in STEM also. And I'm grateful that we have an opportunity to speak here today.
Thank you.
So I think at a university level, this is a slightly different conversation because even at universities like Cambridge, we are seeing that it is still very male-dominated. And if we look at the data also, we seem to be stagnating a little in terms of our progress. But I think what's important is that we're having the right conversations and we're trying to engage with our students now to create that movement of female engineers as well. And also, it's important to create a career path or a corporate environment that's also accommodating for women and showing that representation, not only at an educational level, but also in the field of female engineers as well. So there is still quite a long way to go in order to see, let's say, at least half of like a 50-50 split of female engineers in the room. But there's still a lot of inspiring stories out there, and all the female engineers that I've worked with, they're really at the forefront of what they're doing. So we do have the talent there. We just have to make sure that we're creating access for future generations as well.
Thank you, Mar.
Yeah, and I'll extend on that a little to industry as well. So we are seeing betterment for women in STEM and education, but the conversation at 18 and then at 35 is very different, and representation looks very different at these ages. So when we say our environment's adapting around women in STEM, I think women are adapting to the environments in STEM. Now, it's not something we often think about, which I think people don't realize. So when your skills are precise, when you've developed your knowledge in a domain, you just execute, and gender plays much less of a role in being able to do the work in that field. To the question of has it changed and do we need to continue adapting the environment, there's a lot of conversation around it, but effort into restructuring the environment, into consideration of how they are going to look for people overall, not just women or not just men, is something where implementation has been behind, especially in the later stages.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your input. I would like to ask you a personal question, is more regarding and specific to your backgrounds as well. Kira, you're still in high school, yet you have accomplished and done so much. So where does your curiosity come from, and what would you say to other students at your age or even younger students that are maybe intimidated by the STEM fields in general?
Okay, so for me, my confidence and curiosity came not from being the best in a room, but quite the opposite. I always felt behind others in the room. So I started by studying in a mathematics school in Moscow, where people around me were much better in solving math tasks. And for 5 years, I haven't made it through the second stage of math Olympiads in my city. So it was a moment when I felt it just wasn't for me. But then when I moved to Cyprus, I kept working, and then one time I was doing robotics and I got a call that was saying I was selected to represent Cyprus at EGMO Olympiad. And I remember asking, are you sure, is it real me? Because it didn't feel real for me, and it was like my dream for whole life. So I think it's important to keep working even when things don't work. And also about robotics, it was a surprise for me because I haven't been doing robotics before I moved to Cyprus. So I just heard about our team, and then I joined it and I was inspired. And the thing that you need to know about our team, that we came from a really small city, like from Paphos, with no infrastructure for school robotics, and we are the only team from our region. And within only 2 years, we managed to win the Cyprus Championship and then to represent Cyprus on the world stage. So on the Worlds, it didn't work as well as we planned. So our robot, we decided to change it from the scratch before the month of the competition. And then when we came to competition, it didn't work at all. So it was a moment when we almost gave up, but we focused on what we can still do well, and it's about sharing any information about Cyprus, how it's developing, and our team in Cyprus, and that's how we got our award. So I think it's important for the young student that doesn't feel that he's belong or she's belong to STEM, that just to keep working even when things don't work at first. You just need to keep going.
Persistence, I think, and adaptability. That's definitely really, really important. Thank you, Kira. Now, Mara, you're studying aerospace engineering right now, which is arguably the best field. This is an unbiased opinion. And obviously, it's very exciting. It's very competitive as well. But as AI becomes a part of everything in general, how do you think STEM education is evolving or should be evolving for the future in general?
Yeah, so I think generally for higher level education, we're seeing institutions really embracing AI. Particularly, I can speak for the UK. If we're looking at like LSE, Oxford, these top universities are really not only embracing it, but also offering free models for their students. So they're kind of indicating that we're expecting our students to use AI, not only use it, but use it very well. So what I see particularly on education levels and the standards of the work that we're expecting a lot more from our students. We're expecting coursework of a much higher caliber, research theses of a much higher caliber. So in this way, we've also noticed there's a lot of talk about the democratization of education, that there's a lot more access to good answers, to good tutors, if we have an agent that we can keep asking questions to, right? And that is definitely the case to a certain point. I think there's also a sort of variation between different universities and the access to AI, because across different projects you can see if certain people are using more accurate models or if they have funds to access certain models, that there is a different variation. And unfortunately, I don't think this has been addressed at a higher level for education purposes. And apart from that, I think if we're looking even higher, like at the postdoctorate level, we're seeing AI is pretty much being used as it's being pushed in terms of funding, in terms of what we're expecting from our doctorates as well. So the field is definitely moving in this direction, mostly because we're estimating that our science is going to be probably led in this direction, and all the breakthroughs are maybe going to be influenced a lot by our ability to use AI and look at larger data sets.
And I think these are conversations that need to be done with the youth included and having the youth perspective as well, definitely, yeah. And Alyssa, now you're already working professionally in AI and science during this massive and rapid tech shift. So what skills and mindsets do you see that young people should need essentially to remain adaptable in this environment and successful in general?
Yeah, there's a few things that come to mind. The first is that AI replaces a lot of the implementation layer, but what it doesn't replace is the know-how of why things work. So if we take AI itself as an example, yes, everyone's using ChatGPT and the models, and most people still think that's what it is, but fundamentally, underlying it is just mathematics. It's matrix multiplication with a bit of gradient descent on it. And the mathematical maturity that a student can bring to keep pushing it forward is something which will be very critical as they grow in the domain. The second thing that would come to mind is the comfort with ambiguous problems. So a lot of STEM education now is very structured. We're solving things that have a given answer, but when you go into industry, you want to be able to frame a problem in a way an agent can find a solution to it, or an AI can find a solution to it. Now, this comes to technical solution architecture. So being able to take a step back and see the entire picture is something we're going to see being all and more important. And it's not just critical thinking or what we've heard a lot about, but it is a little bit more technical of restructuring the domain around the full pipeline. Then the third thing that comes to mind would be being able to be what is called a generalist expert. This is a term that's used over there a lot, but you have to be able to go deep into a lot of different domains. And that is partly because the interesting problems lie at the intersection. It's AI and something, and so forth. But now also it's something for AI. So as we've been developing payment structure and so forth for humans, this is coming in the other way. It's coming around for agents. Now, being able to have deep expertise in a domain and know AI and understand mathematics, what's driving it all, that's what's making people very, very valuable in this era. So knowing one thing too deeply at the moment is not going to work. Models will know it deeper and they'll know it better. But being able to be transient and cross a lot of these domains is going to be very critical.
This is some really, really helpful insight, I think. And heading to the last question, which also covers the first one a little bit here, is what excites you most and what scares you most about the future of where we're currently living in? I would love to hear from all three of you.
So what excites me most is the opportunities and the technologies that are growing every day, and you're exploring something new every moment if you're studying. And what scares me most is the fact that you have some regulation in matter of geographical regulations or limitations in the government.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think just coming off of what Kira said as well, definitely the scale of the impact, the sorts of the projects, the types of projects we could be working on, and the ambition that we can now access that wouldn't require the manpower or the hours we would previously have access to. I think in terms of maybe what I'm slightly intimidated by is I'm hoping that I'm keeping up with the requirements and with my skill set, and I'm hoping that the thinking that I'm developing is also maintaining that level of physics intuition that I think Alyssa was also mentioning that would be very, very valuable.
Yeah, what is most exciting for me, I think, is the opportunity that's going to come for more interpersonal connection, actually. So it's less on the technology, it's less on what is being developed, and more on what is that going to enable for the human side, for the human population. How is it going to change our behaviors if we don't have to abide by work models that are currently in place, since that's completely reforming. On the side of intimidation, I would say there is still a fair amount of pushback from persistent structures that haven't completely understood technology, so it could be moving so much faster. We could be making so much more progress than we currently are, but there's some speed barriers from fears, but acting out of fear is not what's going to drive ultimately the most progress and the most benefit at the end.
Thank you so much. And I think to break the ice, I want to mention what also scares me personally is that my fridge has AI and starts talking to me at this point. So I don't know where all of this technology is going, but some things are definitely scary. Now, thank you so much for being on this panel. We can take a few of the questions from the audience. So I'd like to go ahead with the first one, if you want. So what challenges do girls still face in STEM fields today? And what has helped you personally keep going despite them? Would anyone like to take the floor?
So the challenges in STEM, we can see them every day because mostly it's a men area. But for me, keep going. It's what motivates me. It's people around me because in my school or in my team, I came every day to the session of robotics, and people are coding on, people are building the robot, and they don't have a thought like to stop. So that's why I kept going on doing my stuff, my part of robotics. And also, when I was participating in workshops in STEM in Cyprus, I met a lot of people from all over the Cyprus, usually from Nicosia, and they're doing this every day. They're studying every day, so you look at them and you think, I want to be like them, and I want to be on their level.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think generally the barriers to getting as far as you want are just sort of created by what you think your limits are. So I think I can speak for anyone who wants to go into STEM, not just for women, that you seeing examples of people succeeding, but also proving it to yourself that you're good enough and that if you work hard enough, you can achieve what you like, is also something that can push you forward. If we're looking at what's holding you back, there are still some rooms where you might not feel welcome, but that's maybe just not the room where you feel like you should be growing. So you could either create your own room or just bypass the room entirely. So I think, generally speaking, we're definitely more welcoming, and there's a lot of space available for women to sit at the table.
Yeah, and very briefly adding on to that, exactly what Mara said, a lot of the STEM fields have gotten more female representation. AI has actually gone backwards. It's extremely heavily male-dominated. That's not to say it's a bad thing. It's just to say that it flowed more naturally from domains where men were involved prior. That means there's much more opportunity for women to develop in that space. So there's a lot that we can do, but I think just honing in on your skills, regardless of whether it's a woman or a man, what interests you should be what's driving you. And if it's more men that are interested in AI, so be it. You don't look at it when you're on the inside.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being on this panel. We can take one more question. Perfect. So should we take the first one? Okay, do you want to stay and work in Cyprus? If not, why and where would you go? What would keep you in Cyprus?
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
I'm happy to go ahead. So currently in Cyprus, for my domain at least, it's starting to build up, but it is not quite there yet. There's not the speed and there's not the opportunity, and there's some people in very high positions who we converse with, and they say, let's leave AI to America, and China, and Cyprus is not going to be the one that's going to do it. I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of technical talent here with a lot of opportunity to grow the domain. What is needed for me to come back is infrastructure for speed. Infrastructure and willingness for speed, and to believe a little bigger, to view a little bigger, to dream a little bigger. That said, I think bridging the gap between the US, between the rest of the globe and Cyprus is very high on my list of priorities. And we have to start early. You start with high school, you start with middle school even, and hopefully with time, not too much time, but with time, we will get up to speed where we can have a true impact in the domain as well.
Yeah, I think just jumping onto what Alyssa said, I think for me personally, what I'd like to see is a bit more variety. I think there's pockets of innovation that are popping up in Cyprus, and we're seeing that a lot, especially recently, and it's exciting to see. But I think, as Alyssa mentioned, we need a little bit more speed and development in these areas for certain things. I am quite a generalist, so I've worked across energy, I've worked across healthcare as well, and I'm motivated by really interesting projects. And I'd love to see like a science park or something of that level of innovation here as well, and of speed in terms of our ability to prototype and put things out there. And that is something that is growing at the minute, and we're going to see hopefully more students coming back, because there's a lot of Cypriot talent as well that's going out there and that's experimenting all over the world, and we could bring that back here as well.
Definitely.
So I think for me, there are a lot of technical companies now that are growing in Cyprus, and they're trying to develop the STEM in our region. So I think it's possible to stay and work in Cyprus, but I don't want to be located in one place. So I want to go for projects, not for the place itself.
Definitely. Thank you so much again for your insight. We really appreciate your time, and thank you for being here.